Hey, this is Joe Gilder from HomeStudioCorner.com, and I haven't done a studio tour in a couple years. So this is a very much updated and needed studio tour for all of you who've been asking for one forever. Thanks for your patience. Things have changed a lot. I think this is my third or fourth studio tour, and I'm in a completely different house, completely different setup, really completely different everything. So I want to walk you through briefly. I'm not going to show you everything, but I'll give you the overview as if you were about to come do a session here at my studio. So let's start here at the door. So you first come in, and this is what you see. Got a whiteboard, things to do today. There's a little nook over here where I keep stands and keep stuff in that closet, that little cabinet there. Over here to the right, we've got my upright piano Consuela, who is beautiful and out of tune right now. Got a cool exposed brick deal going on here. There's an air conditioner right on the other side of this wall and also right outside this window, which is unfortunate, but you know what? We make it work. It's okay. Over here in this corner is kind of the guitar corner. We've got back there, this is one of my favorite guitars. It's an Ibanez Artcore semi-hollow body. Great $400 guitar. This is my Les Paul Studio. Her name's Babe. She's pretty. Gibson. There's a djembe. Vox AC4 and a little Tech 21 practice amp that I got on sale, used at Nashville Used Music, actually. It's a fun little amp. Over here, this is my newest guitar, electric. This is basically a Telecaster-ish by John Hill over at Bootlegger Guitars. So it's my first single coil guitar, actually. So I love it and play it a lot. Over here we have the famed leather couch. Every studio needs one, I think. These are probably my favorite additions to my studio in a long, long time. As you can see, these are just two 3-foot wide, so 3-foot wide by 6-foot tall gobos that I had made by a guy here in Nashville named Graham Wax. And you can see he put them on casters so I can wheel them around. So I've got a vocal session later today. I can literally wheel these out into some sort of a pseudo, here we go, into a pseudo vocal booth. And I can adjust the angle, I can put it wherever in the room I want to put it. Allows for a little privacy for the singer, which is sometimes nice. And I can put it wherever, and they block a lot of sound. They're, I think, 3 inches thick. Got just basic cloth, black cloth with fiberglass insulation on the inside, which is super cool. And then I can roll them out of the way when I don't need them, and they smash into things pretty well. Here is kind of the hub, the control room. Oh, over here, this is my newest baby. This is a Gibson J45. Beautiful guitar. I do still have my Taylor. She's in the case somewhere, but that Gibson is beautiful as well. So here's the main command center for the studio. I've got the same guy that built the gobos, built these panels. So these are 2-foot by 4-foot, 2 inches thick. Same deal in the corners, just made them custom height for the ceiling. They go floor to ceiling and are secured in the corners as bass traps. Another one right here, and then one to the side. Nothing on the ceiling yet, and that's it. It actually sounds pretty good in here, and I can get some decent mixes. Here's my desk. This was actually made, custom-built desk by the guys at Sound Construction. You've probably seen their stuff. A lot of their desks are for sale at places like Sweetwater. They make kind of lots of different desks. They make a lot of big, huge desks for huge consoles, and then kind of smaller home studio stuff. This is one they actually made for me, custom for this, which is the Presonus Studiolive 2442 digital Firewire mixer. Now, it's a bit overkill. Obviously, I don't need this many tracks for tracking, but I do actually use them for mixing from time to time. If I just feel like mixing through a mixer, it's really easy to do. It's all Firewire connected, so I can mix through the mixer, and it goes back in and records into my DAW, and I don't have to. I can save all the presets, so it's as good as digital gets, but you can still actually do all your EQ, compression, gating, effects, and things on the console itself. It's a fun change of pace. For my central computer, this is a 27-inch iMac. That's all I know. It's got stuff inside. It's pretty fast. These speakers I've had forever. These are the M-Audio, I don't think they make them anymore, M-Audio EX66s. And then these are my little Roland speakers named Rolando. I use those just for basically to let me hear what a song sounds like in the car. Great little crap speakers. And for those of you who always inevitably will tell me that these are supposed to be angled in towards the listening position, they are not. These are designed to face forward, to fire perpendicular, if you will, to where they're sitting. So if I angle them in, that's actually not how they're designed to be. They're designed to be forward facing, which gives them a very... Not all speakers are designed that way, but if you read the manual, these are designed for that. So my sweet spot isn't just right here. It's actually... I can move quite a bit, and everything still sounds... The center of the mix kind of moves with me, which is kind of neat. Down here, if you haven't seen a Studiolive 24, it's a pretty fun little mixer. It's got the long throw faders. Here's the fat channel in the middle where you can do all your fat channel stuff. Over here are my preamps. So I've got basically 4 channels of preamps, outboard preamps. The first is the one I use the most. This is the Presonus Eureka. I use that for my podcast. I've used it. Everything on my album Help of the Helpless was tracked through the Eureka. Everything. Great little preamp. I don't know if they make it anymore. I know they've updated things, so you have to check with Presonus, but you can get one used for a decent amount of money, or not a lot of money. This next one here is the Presonus Adl 700, as you can see right there, and these are both ADL preamps from Presonus. They have a great tube preamp inside of them. The 700 is a single channel with compression and a 4-band EQ, and this is the ADL 600, which has basically just 2 channels of preamp with no compression, no EQ. Really great. They're tube preamps, but they're not super beefy tubes, if that makes sense. So you can get actually somewhat of a clean sound out of them without having to go crazy thick. This is the Presonus Central Station. So I use this for monitoring, volume knob, headphone outputs. I can select my sources, what I'm listening to, and select which speakers I'm listening to as well. Mute switch, dim switch, buttons galore, which is always fun. And over here, this is actually the newest addition to the studio. This is a Avid 11 rack. After hearing people talk about it forever, I finally got one. And you know what? It actually sounds great. It has just a variety of tones, which is great for doing an album when you need a variety of tones. I only have, as you recall, those 2 amps over there. You can get some tone. That one's just more of a practice amp, and that one is a Vox. It sounds very good, but if you want something other than a Vox sound, you're stuck. So this guy is my go-to for anything else, and actually does sound good. This Alesis 3630, I haven't used in years, but I stuck it in the rack anyway. And this is a Furman power conditioner. And there is the Presonus fader port, which I use to control Studio One, which is now my DAW of choice, which that's probably one of the bigger changes since my last video. I'm no longer a Pro Tools guy. I use Studio One. There's my little MIDI controller as well. So, hopefully, you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for checking it out. I do want to stress that I say this in all my studio tour videos. Yes, I have acquired a fantastic collection of gear, and I'm not downplaying that at all. And it does help me get great recordings, but don't think that great recordings are impossible without stuff like this. These are mostly just toys that I treated myself to as opposed to things I have to have. If you gave me a 2-channel interface and a single microphone, that is still a valid setup for getting good recordings. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I always love studio tours and seeing how people set things up, where they place things in the room. If you haven't figured it out, this room itself is kind of a U shape, which is very unique. It's fairly big, so you could track quite a bit in here. And I'm actually going to try probably tracking a full band in here at some point soon. But for now, that's it for the studio tour. Thanks for being a subscriber, and we'll see ya in the next video.